People of Earth, Gig Hoe.
Gig Hoe. We play Gig Hoes.
So we're going to start this episode with a voicemail from Adrian in Hawaii. Wow, what a story. Thanks for sharing it with us, Adrian.
Hey, how's it, ladies? What's up? This is Adrian from Kaneohe, Hawaii. Just calling to say how much I love the podcast. It's been so great. It's such a niche topic, but it is right up my alley, and I love it. I can't believe some of these freaking stories. Anyway, I wanted to share mine with you, which was right around 1990. The wave was cresting with the MCs, the hip-hop thing, but it was with a live band, kind of a rock and hip-hop thing, kind of fusion thing that was going on. Anyway, my little cousin Ozzy had been playing drums for this hip-hop group that was two MCs and a DJ and a beatboxer, and they were like kind of popular locally in LA. I got to jump on and start playing bass with them. And then there was this other guitarist. So part of it would be the hip-hop with the DJ, and then the live band would start up, and then, we'd go back and forth a little bit. So we ended up opening for Chibo Motto, which was Sean Lennon's band, and we played at what was at the time the Palace. Now it's the Avalon, but it's this huge place. And so I was super stoked to be playing there because I'd seen huge bands there before. Anyway, We're on stage, we play our instrumental set with the band, and then it comes time to put my bass down, and then I'm just kind of hype man, jumping around, dancing around on stage a little bit, But then I happen to start kind of making my way stage right a little bit. I'm hopping, I'm jumping, but I ended up like jumping up too much and too close to the DJ, and so the record skipped and like way off the song, and it completely threw the MCs off. And everybody looked at me, and the MCs had to stop the song because it was just completely off. And the DJ was like, "Get out of here, dude, go over there." And then so everyone's kind of looking at me. It was one of the most embarrassing things that has ever happened to me on stage. And then while Chiba Motto was on stage, we did kind of a dick move, and we like went into their dressing room and took a bunch of their beer, which was such a jerk move that a bunch of 20-year-olds would do, but that was that. And ultimately, it was a fun night. So, yeah. Hope you ladies keep it going. Fucking awesome podcast. Can't wait to hear more. Salud. Aloha.
Well, I'm Marla. And I'm Willa. And we are the Gig Hoe Hoe Hoe. Ha ha ha. Holiday edition.
Of course. Just when you were sick of holiday songs, we're going to give you more holiday stuff.
Oh, my God. That's all I've been singing for 3 weeks.
I know.
And then I went to the periodontist yesterday, and he had, like, Sinatra singing all that.
It's like, there's no escape. I was getting physical therapy, and it was like, Bing Crosby. Mariah Carey. I mean,
yeah.
Even Kelly Clarkson is...
oh, yeah.
Out there, yeah. I mean, everybody, because, why not?
I think there's a version of Baby It's Cold Outside with her and John Legend or something.
I know. I was listening to the words, obviously, because we all know what happened. And what's in my drink?
Yeah, hey, what's in my drink?
They should get Bill Cosby to sing that song. That would really be perfect.
Yeah, it's so funny how a song can seem so...
innocuous?
And then
it's not.
No, I know. In my holiday show, I opened by starting with Jingle Bells, which was written in 1857. It was played in a church because the guy who wrote it, his father was a minister, so he gave him the song. And they were scandalized by Jingle Bells because Jingle Bells is really about they used to have sleigh races in the dark. And they'd ring the jingle bells to let someone know they were coming up behind them. But they would gamble on who would win. So the church scandalized. And then also the sleighs were small enough that you could only fit 2 people. So if a young man and woman wanted to smooch without a chaperone, they could go out on the sleigh. So that was also a scandal. So,
Isn't it amazing how we're discovering these things? I mean, with the thing with the master bedroom. I mean, that's something I didn't know 2 years ago.
What?
When they say this is the master bedroom, it's related to slavery.
Oh, yeah, right, the master bedroom.
But I didn't know that 5 years ago or whatever.
Anyway, the holidays. So, audience, I know some of you are professional performers like we are, but for people that are not, your holidays
You're
are...
lucky.
Your holidays are a nightmare. Because everything is hard around the holidays. I mean, the traffic is insane.
You pull these songs out that you haven't played in a year, and it's like, oh yeah, right.
Well, don't you, like, just before Thanksgiving, I pull out all that repertoire and I roll over all of them to remind myself, because you play nothing but them for a month, and then you don't play them at all for the next 11 months.
Right, you tuck them away.
And then there they are. What's your most not favorite? I have one.
My most not...
The one I hate when I am forced to play it.
I think I hate them all equally.
I like the John Lennon one. That's really
well,
good.
everyone likes that.
Yeah.
But
my most...
I like Drummer Boy.
Yeah, I like Drummer Boy. You know, the one I hate the most is Have Holly Jolly
Oh, I don't even
Christmas.
do it. I hate it so much.
I know, but sometimes people ask for it.
Well, I just tell them no.
Yeah, so anyway, audience, on a normal day, the ride that could take you 20 minutes could take you an hour and a half, especially Manhattan is its own nightmare zone.
40 minutes to go around the block near Rockefeller Center.
Definitely. And so I have a story about that, which is I had a solo gig in an apartment house, very ritzy. Maybe it was between I'm going to say between 5th and Madison, perhaps, on 56th Street or something, right in the heart of the beast.
Close enough, yep.
And it took me forever to get there. And by the time I got there, I didn't have a lot of time. And I had some gear. They had a piano, but I had to bring up, my amp and my mic and all that. I pull up. The doorman says, oh, no, you can't come in the main entrance. You have to go around the block and come in on that. It's just on the other block. Like if it was 56th Street, it was 55th. You have to go to that entrance. I said, that will take me a half hour. He goes, well, I can't help you. And I'm such a dunce because if I knew then what I know now, I would have slipped the guy $20 and he would have let me come in the front.
Possibly. Sometimes they don't want to get in trouble,
Yeah, you could be right.
because of security.
But the upshot was I had to go all the way down to 42nd Street because I couldn't make a left.
Right. They keep taking away all the turns in Manhattan.
Especially during the holidays. So by the time I got to the other side around the corner, the gig started in 5 minutes. And I got there. And
in a cold sweat.
Well, yeah. I got there and I said, start playing. And then, and this is another part of the holiday party. The holiday party is very unique because, people are nuts around the holidays. Whatever I played, this woman kept coming up to me, the hostess, and saying, I need it more up-tempo. I need it more up-tempo. I'm playing frickin' Jingle Bells. It's 180 BPM. No, it has to be fat, up, up, up. I don't know if she was high on something, but...
White people.
Oh, God, it's...
I can't dance unless it's La Bamba tempo.
And after 20 minutes of up, 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 I'm playing Chestnuts Roasting Up. No, I want it up, up, up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Everyone has this illusion of what their party is going to be like.
And on the holidays, it's on steroids.
It's on steroids, and then it's always up to us.
Right. Because I think there's this desperation around the holidays. I have to have a good time. I have to have a good... Culminating, of course, in New Year's Eve, which is the
ultimate downer.
For us.
Well, I love January 1st, my favorite day of the year. It's over. I mean, don't get me wrong. Well, I'm happy to be working in December, but,
I just remember.
It's tiring.
I had the greatest gig on New Year's Eve day through Norman Spiz. His Uncle Connie owned a smoked fish store, but it was actually... They made it there, right? It was like a warehouse, kind of, but it was in Queens. For me, it was pretty close to my house. Rigo Smoked Fish, that was the name of
Rigo's?
it. Rigo, like
R-E-G-O,
Rigo Park.
yeah.
Anyway, what it was, I got there, and it was like a display case, like an appetizing store, and they'd have sable and lox and smoked salmon, all these things. And then in the back, they had the whole room where they did the smoking, and then off to the side, they had a room that was all in tile, the walls, the floor, big drain in the middle of the floor, big metal table where they would cut the fish to begin with a big drain in the middle of that. So it really looked like a morgue.
Like a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, and it was kind of the same temperature as a morgue. I would have to bundle up to play in there.
Right, otherwise the fish would spoil.
Right, so it's 60 degrees in there, and I would bundle up.
And smelly, like the Fulton Fish Market gigs, right across the street. It's in the sidewalk, the smell.
That's right. So anyway, I would go there, and it would be from whatever New Year's Eve gig I had. It was fine because this would be maybe noon to 3, and then I'd go home. I'd have to take a shower to get all the fish smell out of me. And then I'd go to my gig. But the gig was, so I'd go there. I'd set up in a corner of that room with the tile and the big table with the drain. They would just put out hundreds of like little rye toast rounds with the little fish, like bite size. And then everyone in the neighborhood would come for free and eat all this smoked fish. And my pay was
smoked fish.
It was $150 in cash, a bottle of Dewar's Scotch, and like a pound of sable, a pound of lox, a pound of whitefish salad. And I'd go home with this giant box.
Nice, yeah.
Dump it off, do the gig. And then the next day I'd have people over for brunch because I had
too much fish.
Ridiculous amount of it was like so great. That went on for years.
Well, I'd like to go there one day now.
If it's still there.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you have
it's
to
still
show
there.
me where.
Yeah, but that was a great...
Maybe we can get them to advertise.
That was a great New Year's Eve gig. Before the gig. It was like the preheat to the New Year's Eve gig.
Nice. Absolutely.
So it was like a long day.
Well, we're going to talk about some general holiday
yeah, it could be
events because
I see some Easter thing here.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, I figure I'll talk about that. When you're in the business of playing music, sometimes agents that do other things, and one agent asked me to be the Easter Bunny.
Full.
Oh, full, very full.
Wow.
And
I hope it wasn't outside. Were you schwitzing in there in the costume?
No, that wasn't the problem. Actually, I did it. I've done it twice already. In the second year I did it, it was like 1 hour in one country club, and then I had to drive
in
to
your
another
costume.
Country. Well, yeah, it was like right nearby, or somebody was going to drive me. But the thing about this costume, if you ever look at like an Easter Bunny costume, the eyes are very close together.
Oh.
So you really can't see except out of one eye. So I'm like led around like a geriatric bunny.
Oh my God.
By the agent, So it's very strange. She's
Did you have an Easter basket?
Well, yeah, I'm handing out candy to kids and waving with my paw and everything.
Wow. So now you know what they go through. All those people in Times Square, right?
Well, I've also been Frosty the Snowman, and he had normal eyes, so I could still see. And then on the break, I would take my head off. Yeah. But I'd have to go out in the hallway to do it because you couldn't let the kids see you,
Oh, because they'd flip out, right?
Well, Well, I had one kid say, "You're not really the Easter Bunny. I see your hair, your ponytail in the back." And the kid was like 8. Like, no kidding. Like, Einstein. Yeah, I'm really not the Easter Bunny. That's what it took for you to figure it out.
Yeah, God.
So one year I'm like in the country club, and you go around to each table and you let them take pictures with their kids.
With the Easter Bunny, right.
So there was also this one room where they had, I don't know, like 20, 25 people. They had their own little private room in the country club.
Right.
So they say, "Oh, you still got one more to do. Go in there." So I go in there, and with all these people, they're trying to get them organized. They've already eaten. They're talking. Then I'm sitting there on the side, and I actually start to lie down on the chair. So it's like a very funny visual to see the rabbit,
the exhausted bunny.
He's just bored, and he's so they were laughing, and I said, "Yeah." It was and I was just trying to play along with that.
Right,
but
that's great.
And then it turns out the guy whose family it was owns the restaurant that I do piano bar in, and he goes in my bunny ear, "Do you work for me?" And
then he didn't know who you were?
Well, actually, the secretary in the restaurant told him that I think that's going to be Marla in the bunny suit. So he whispered in my bunny ear.
Right.
And then I said, "Steve!" And then I gave him a big hug, and everyone's looking. The Easter Bunny is hugging Steve.
Right. What's up with that?
Yeah, it was just like a funny scene.
I mean, that's kind of funny, because didn't you do a thing early in your career where you had to wear like a Playboy bunny kind of an outfit?
Yeah, that was very different.
I know, but it's funny.
I can't stop being a bunny.
And now you're that bunny.
Well, now that I'm older, I can only be an Easter Bunny.
That's right. It would be really great to see the visual. Marla at 20, Marla now, bunny.
How about a Playboy Easter Bunny, just like it with the legs and the bunny head.
So I'm going to tell 2 stories that sort of address one element of the corporate Christmas party. Because, and you can tell me if you've had this experience too, but another thing about the corporate Christmas party, because there are the bosses, so say it's like a law firm, right? So there are the bosses and the big boss who always makes a speech, and everyone has to stand around and listen to the boss's speech, right? And then there are the worker drones, the secretaries or what have you. And you can always tell the bosses from the drones because they dress differently and they act differently. The people who are lower on the totem pole tend to drink more they get louder, they dance more.
Well, this is their Christmas bonus.
Exactly. Maybe it is, but it's their chance to get maybe free booze, free food, that they wouldn't
Right, and
be
they
able to
overdo
afford.
it.
Yeah, and they overdo it. And so I've seen this a million. Have you not seen
Well,
it?
I've seen it on Seinfeld.
Oh.
You know, when she's like the office skank and she's making out with the guy.
Right. But have you not seen that happen for real on Christmas parties?
I guess I don't pay too much attention to the guests because
Right.
I always feel like it's not my world.
Yeah.
But of course,
Yeah. So I was not on this particular gig, but I did the gig the year before in the same place. And my brother told me this story, and it's our old friend MG, the keyboard player, right? So it was at the Folk Art Museum, which is right next door to MoMA on 5th Avenue and 53rd Street. It's in a museum, right? It's very
Sure.
high-toned law firm. Not a lot of people because it's not a big space. We're playing there surrounded by Mexican artifacts and stuff. So 2 things happened with MG. He was a notorious perv, right? And he was, I don't know about you, he certainly tried to jam his tongue down my throat. I know another friend of mine slapped him because he tried it on her. So he took a break, and it was a trio probably because small party. Larry's playing, and MG is over there with the secretary, obviously the secretary table because they're all too
Young.
drunk.
Right.
Yeah, and they're more flamboyantly dressed, let's say, right? He's got this woman, he's holding her like he's got one arm behind her waist. He's got her bent over, and he's just got his tongue all the way down her throat, right? He's just making out with her.
Wow, that's pretty bold. And he's like on the gig.
On the gig.
Oy.
This is his break. He's got her in this hold. He's,
And she's drunk.
and he's taking advantage.
Right.
And all the friends are sitting around watching it because they're drunk too. And my brother goes, Mark, whatever his name is. And he turns around and he goes, what? And Larry goes, we have to play. And he goes, oh. And he just takes
Drops
his
her?
hand away and lets her hit the floor.
Wow.
And I said, what happened? Larry said, well, her head bounced on the floor and then her friends picked her up. And I mean, she didn't get knocked unconscious or anything, but geez, right?
That's really low.
That's
very low.
And she probably woke up the next morning,
Why is this bump on my head?
with little to no recollection. It's kind of horrendous, but this is what happened. I mean,
it's still, she has some accountability, of course. But
yeah, but she was very drunk. And then at the end of
He
the
didn't
party,
have to do
same
that.
party, same guy gets a big...
a different girl?
No, he gets a big thing of tinfoil from the kitchen and he starts shoving all the leftover hors d'oeuvres into the tinfoil to take home. So bad.
Let's see, what other low-class thing can I do on this gig? Well, I have a funny story. It was at a Christmas party with my ex-partner,
Right.
WP.
Yes.
And he was very flamboyant and funny. He was, he had his moments where he was very charming. So anyway, it was an office Christmas party. They're in this other room
I hate when they do that.
for the cocktail hour.
Oh, okay.
Right? And they were going to be coming into where we were set up, and we had microphones set up. For some reason, the microphones were being projected into the
the other room.
cocktail hour. I don't know. And guess
Well, it might have been like while they were in the cocktail, you could play and it would go to the other
Except
room.
we weren't playing. We were talking, and he was talking shit, and he's talking about how we did this gig for the Starlight Foundation at the Marriott. We used to do it every year. And a lot of times when the band was playing, it was like hundreds and hundreds of people.
Sure.
Like some people would come up onto the stage. It was like a little kind of platform stage in
Right.
the big ballroom there. And they'd be dancing, and there'd be, lighting. And then because of the lighting, some girl had a very transparent skirt.
Oh, no.
So he's like looking, and he's saying, I see bush.
And it went out all over everywhere?
Well, actually, he was talking about that. And then he was saying, I wanted to take the mic stand. And if there are children in the room, cover their ears. He said, I want to take the mic stand and shove it up her ass.
Did he say that to the band?
Over the microphone.
But
he didn't
he
realize
didn't
he
realize
was
the mic
saying
was
that
on.
over the microphone. He was telling the
Right.
story.
Yeah.
And like some
Oh,
guy
my-
comes in and goes, fellas, I don't know if you realize, but we can hear everything
Oh, my
you're
God.
saying.
The famous hot mic, right?
Yeah. I mean, it happens to a lot of people. right?
Politicians,
Yeah,
particularly.
the hot mic. That's a great title.
Oh, yeah.
For
that is-
something. I don't
Yeah.
know what, but
Yeah. Wow.
so it was pretty funny. We were
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because he was telling that story, and it was like,
Oh, Lordy.
yeah.
So-
we didn't get that gig again.
For a while, Cy Cogan was the house band at the Grand Hyatt, which I don't know what it is now. I mean, it's changed hands a number of times. This is the one, it's on 42nd Street between Lex and Madison, this giant hotel. So he was the house band there for a number of years. So we were there like every frickin' day playing parties.
Which place again?
The Grand Hyatt.
Oh, yeah. With the big, long backyard.
That back.
I definitely know.
You know, with the trucks and, you know, it was
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole
I fell in a
brutal.
pothole there.
Yeah, and you were talking about how one time you were trying to get past this
The
garbage
truck.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So we played a party there. This is so amazing. And it was that era. Remember we were talking about when you had the little Casios? I had, like
Yes.
we all had, yeah. So I had 2 little Casios at that time. One to play bass and one to play another sound.
Hey.
So it was a small band. It was me, my brother, Pat on drums, and Lou Caputo playing sax. That was it. And we were playing a party for all the staff at the Hyatt. So they had the ballroom opened completely, right? It was a humongous room. There had to be 500 people there, right? All staff. And they were doing it. The party was 3 hours, and I guess they were staggering. You know, you could get an hour and a half.
Right, and go back to work.
Right. But at any given time, there were hundreds of people, staff members. So we're playing, and they're just partying their brains out, and they're having the greatest time, right? And it's the dance floor is a writhing mass of humanity. And I remember at one point we were playing Whip It by Devo, you know?
Yes, yeah.
You know, and they're on each other's shoulders, and they're doing this wild chain dance, and, you know,
right.
They were dancing so much that the building was shaking. And
The dance floor, yeah.
This is the Grand Hyatt, you know, and
What a
it's
surprise.
like shaking like that. And what happened was the management came in and stopped the party because guests were complaining because the whole building was shaking.
And maybe they knew something about the structure that was a little like, you know.
I don't know. It was just people were having such a good time and everyone was dancing so hard. But the staff did not like that. And they started to riot.
Riot?
Well, kind of, yeah. They were like flipping out.
Play the music!
Yeah. They were fighting with the management. I mean, it didn't come to physical blows.
Wow.
But it got pretty. We were looking at each other like, I should make a quick exit out this side because they really were. And I don't blame them for being. I mean, here finally they're getting to have their party. And because they're having too good a time, the management goes, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people are going to complain no matter what you do. And they could have just given them one day, you know, let them complain.
3 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours. Well, yeah.
They should have just given the guests like some free food or something.
Yeah, you know.
Go sit in the restaurant.
Yeah, I
Shut
mean,
the
they were
fuck
really
up.
being kind of shitty about it, honestly, to not give them this time.
Well, they probably don't really even want to give them that time.
Probably
they just feel
not.
like obligated, and
Right.
that's why they just, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, for me, I asked Larry if he remembered it. He's like, of course I remember it, because it's like very memorable because it was such a great party, you
Right.
know. And I guess that's the flip side of Christmas parties and holiday parties. It can be magical and wonderful because people can have such a great time, and that happens too.
Yeah, it can go either way.
Yeah.
Well, just last week I did a country club where we, you know, now I'm getting used to people wanting to do the 12 days of Christmas. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people bring props, you know. But this time, the lady, and she was nice, and they all said, oh, you're such a good sport. They wanted to have to act out every action. So
Right.
it was like, for calling birds, and then I'm waiting for everyone to stand up and do a bird thing, you know. So it's like I had to like, da-da-da-da. Waiting each time. I mean,
Yeah.
it got a little faster than they got, you know.
I mean, did they have like the same number of people for the thing? Like, did they have 10 people do 10 Lord's Leaping?
No,
Okay.
that didn't. It was just each table had a
Right.
different number,
Oh, so
and
it's
then you
each
had to wait
table.
for them to stand up,
Right, right.
and like lords and maids of milking
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
like jerking off hand motion.
I know.
That was
Well,
pretty
you know,
funny.
yeah, because I had that one I do every year, and the 2 women that decided to do 6 geese a laying were like humping each other, and then the guy that had.
Finally, we can do this in public.
Well, you know, they're all such. I always wait until they're good and drunk before I bring them up because they come up to the stage to do it. Who was the guy? I think whatever 9 ladies dancing. Yeah, but it
Right.
But it went from 9 ladies dancing to 9 ladies shopping to 9 ladies effing, and you know.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty.
And then it makes it more interesting.
Yeah. So what do you have? There's this thing here I see about somebody eating
Oh,
lox.
yeah, one year. You know how like musicians keep losing their perks?
Yeah.
Because somebody does something wrong?
Right.
I think it was New Year's Eve, and they have a big tray of lox. Why is lox always involved? There's always lox somewhere, you know?
I know. You know that great moment in Trading Places, right?
Oh, yes, when he stuck
Dan
the fish in
Aykroyd.
his...
No, it's a
great.
whole salmon.
I know, the whole salmon, the whole fish. So anyway, I think it was Joe C. and Alan P. were on the gig, and Joe went to eat, and Robert Barry was still alive. We were working in his band, and I don't know why he took the fish with his hand, but it was the piece he was going to eat. But of course,
But he took a piece of lox with his hand?
yeah, he took with his hand, and that wasn't good.
No.
And then
it's
like
so greasy and disgusting with your hand anyway.
yeah, and then he played guitar. He couldn't
Oh,
hold
God.
No. But he got in trouble with the caterer. And it wasn't, I don't know if it was because he used his hand or because he even just taking it. And I just remember the maitre d', you know, like, he can't have it. Why does he think he can have that? And like Alan said, because he's talented. You know,
Oh,
like,
that's
he
good.
gave him like a good retort. But
That's really good.
But I'm sure we never played there again. And
Right.
I'm sure musicians weren't allowed to eat there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can have a soda and sometimes they make that even hard.
I
you
know.
And the further you get away from Manhattan, it seems like Rockland County Country Club.
They don't care.
We ate
Yeah,
everything.
no, it's Manhattan. Well, no, because like I said, I remember that it was at a catering hall in Bumfuck, New Jersey, and I took a mini quiche off.
Oh, and he took it back.
No, he told me to put it back. Yeah, I took a bite, and the caterer said, "Put that back."
Right.
So I did. But yeah, so
So
it's
stupid.
It's not only Manhattan where that happens.
Yeah, I guess it can happen anywhere.
Yeah. So speaking of that,
Club date sandwiches.
yeah. So I remember one Christmas gig I was doing with this sax player who I've mentioned before, but not by name. We called him Magnifico Negativo because he was always complaining about something. But we were doing a cocktail party. That's another thing, audience. Often the Christmas party is a cocktail party, and they have tiny food, which is another reason the staff gets, the secretaries get drunk, because they don't really have enough food. It's like a 3-hour cocktail party, and they got tiny little pigs in blankets. Anyway, we were doing one of those. It was on the mezzanine of the Marriott Marquis on 45th Street and Broadway, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know how that worked. It was some corporate event, you know, Christmas party, but we were on the mezzanine, so it was like very fluid. The guests were all around us and everything. Anyway, we take a break, and we're standing by this giant bowl of giant shrimp. And we're just eating the shrimp, like, as many as we can eat in 5 minutes.
Free shrimp. This would be $100.
It would be. It was giant shrimp. And
getting
as
hungry.
we're chowing down on the shrimp, he goes to me, "One thing they're never going to put on my gravestone." I said, "What's that?" He said, "He didn't eat enough shrimp."
That's funny because do you know who Mark Friedman is? I think he has a band called Rick Savage.
Free Shrimp?
Free Shrimp. Yeah. So whenever they're playing somewhere, it brings more people down. You should call your original group
Free shrimp.
Free Shrimp.
Or free
you have to-
lobster.
Free lobster. Yeah.
Free crab meat.
Free drinks.
What? Free drinks, yeah. You know, that's a great idea. Has no one else thought of that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. His band is called Free Shrimp.
I could be free drinks.
Free drinks.
Free Drinks presents Edgy Cabaret. Or Edgy Cabaret with
Presents-
free drinks.
Presents free drinks.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it is nice when we get like a nice meal. I mean, it's like you always wonder too, should I eat at home or should I wait till I get there? And
Whenever I eat at home, they offer me a full course meal.
of course.
Whenever I don't eat at home, I get nothing.
My piano bar gig, that's one of the perks.
They give you dinner.
I can have an appetizer, dinner. I could get like drunk off my ass if I want, which I don't, because then I'll get sloppy.
Oh, God. I'm just thinking about every band I've been in. I mean, now we're all older, so we're a lot more
Speak for
moderate.
yourself.
I'm
only kidding.
We're still gorgeous and wonderful. But every band that I've been in, the wedding band, well, all bands, but the wedding bands certainly, each one seemed to have its own particular mode of getting high. There were certain bands, they liked to drink, they drank. And then there were other bands that smoked pot, they got high. And then there were other bands that were into blow. But it was really weird because each band had its own character, what their drug, what their getting high of choice was.
I'm actually surprised that it aligned that succinctly, because
It really did. It was weird.
because
Of course, and then there were bands that just like to do all of it at once.
they're all dead.
Well, not all. So another thing that can happen in the holiday season, that middle week, in the teens, you could have 2 gigs a day for 5 days in a row. Easy.
Yeah. It's always that week before Christmas.
Right, the week that's not in the 20s, the week that's in the teens.
Right.
And how often, it's almost inevitable. This year was pretty good for me because I got sick at Thanksgiving. But generally, it's that week that you get sick. And then you have the cold.
Or the week before. I've gotten sick on December 3rd, December 10th. Yep.
But in the meat of the...
Always, yeah.
Yeah. And before COVID, it wasn't even a question. No matter how sick I was, I went to the gig. I mean, I remember I didn't know it at the time, but I went to a gig. I had pneumonia. I went to the gig. I had another gig. This was a Christmas gig, too. It was at the Intercontinental.
I know the place well.
Yeah, and I was playing the cocktail hour in a big room, and my friends, even from Manhattan, came by. They kind of slipped in just to see that. But I was so ill that when I stood up from the piano seat, my whole back of my legs was soaked because I was running a fever,
Yeah, last year, the first time I got COVID, I knew I was sick, but I didn't know it was COVID until the next day or that night. I think I gave it to somebody. But if I didn't do that gig, that's the thing with what we do, right? We're playing bass, keyboard, singing, we're bringing the PA.
Right.
And
it's not so...
And it's a trio, so if I'm not there,
right.
like, what are they going to do? It's a Saturday. It's not like everyone is going to be free.
Exactly. So. It's especially if there's no time, if it happens in the morning and the gig is at night.
And that's what it was. I started to feel it on Friday night, and the gig was Saturday.
Right.
And I said, I'm coming down with something, and I tried to, give me a kiss. No, don't kiss me. And he still got it, just being in the,
right.
in
But it's
the
so
vicinity.
funny because it's so different now. Before COVID, no matter how sick you were, you go to the gig, right? Because what's the worst? It's cold. But then COVID happened, and now it's a whole other thing. Now, if I even feel myself coming down with something, I call whoever and say I'm not coming because I don't want to get people sick. So it's just amazing how the way that we look at it has changed. So anyway, one time, remember how you said you played in a car dealership once?
Yes, the guy got fired that day.
Right.
He knew it was his last day.
Right. But Larry and I had a Christmas thing like that where we played in the afternoon. We played a Christmas party for a car dealership in the showroom.
Right, in the showroom.
And then our rock band was the Bassinets. We had a Bassinets gig that night, and we had to go from one to the other. And I had a really bad cold, and I had very little voice to begin with in the car dealership thing, but that was okay because...
It was just Silver
But
Bells.
then the Bassinets gig was screaming rock,
Right.
AC/DC and singing all that stuff. And I got to the gig, and I'm like, Larry, you're really going to have to take it easy on me because I don't have any voice left. And he's calling AC/DC. And I started to sing it, and one of our fans is in the audience, so I started going for it. And she just gave me the hairy eyeball, like, what the, what's that you're doing?
Isn't it funny when you have to sing and like nothing? Nothing. I've had that experience. It was like, oh my God.
Nothing.
Yeah,
it's just nothing because there's all this phlegm. And so I had another one like that where I was doing a solo gig, so I had to do the gig at some country club, and I had 6 notes. That's what I had. I had like from here, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note. That's about as far as I had. So I'm singing like, sleigh bells ring, are you listening?
Should have done it in a minor key and doing like a death dirge.
Right, I know. I was just praying because it was like, again, a cocktail party. So I was just praying it didn't turn into dancing because that can happen, especially at a Christmas party.
Yeah. I mean, the very nature of what we do. I mean, one time I think I mentioned this, I got sick pay once or holiday pay once, but that just doesn't happen. Like I talked about my friend Peter who came to the gig with an IV on stage.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't want, we don't get anything unless we show up. So we're trying to show up. And being on time is like the most important thing. I mean, when I used to work for a big office, I'd always be there in the parking lot, but like I'd come in maybe at the last minute because I hated everybody, or sometimes hated the people that were there or they were awful, players. And then, but now, like I get there the day before because, you just don't know what you're going to encounter with the roads. I mean, I had the episode about 2 months ago where I'm stuck on the 59th Street Bridge.
Oh, yeah, me too. I've been stuck on the 59th Street Bridge.
No way to go unless you stop the oncoming traffic.
Yeah. And another gig I had, it was at the Jockey Club, and it was the night they were lighting the tree.
Oh my God, that's
And the
the
Jockey
worst.
Club is like really close to where they light the tree.
Jockey Club. It sounds familiar, but I don't. It's not the 21 Club with the
No,
little
not the
jockeys in front.
Oh, maybe it was the 21 Club. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right near the
it.
tree.
Yeah, it's 2 blocks away.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to fight that. And then coming over the 59th Street Bridge, of course, it was a solo gig. Coming across the 59th Street, and there's like a mini blizzard on the 59th Street Bridge. All of a sudden, it's just like a complete whiteout.
And that's pretty scary, especially if you're in that outer lane.
Yeah.
And you're like hanging over the edge.
I'm like, oh my God, where did this come from? And how long is it going to last?
And you can't stop. You can't slow down because it's only one skinny lane.
Oh, God. Audience, it's just
Manhattan. It has
Manhattan,
its own
and
trials and tribulations.
It's its own danger zone. And especially when you're alone, you got to double park your car, hope it's not banged into or towed away while you're trying to get your gear in this. In that one, in the front, they have these stairs down in the front. They have like this.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got to go in, then you got
It's
to.
full of ice.
Yeah, go around and to the back, downstairs, down the hallway, find the freight elevator, come up. It's just like, So, are we going to do a credit of the week, or are we going to leave it for our mini podcast now?
Yeah, because we're going to have a new feature. We're going to have, what did I call it?
A sampler.
A song sampler. We're going to post a song of Willa's and a song of mine each week as a little mini episode.
Maybe not each week, but...
Well, we're going to try.
Yeah, okay.
Because we've got lots of songs that we've written,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff, some in the same genre and some very different.
Yes.
That's the interesting thing about what we do because we played so many styles. We're influenced by a lot of styles.
Yeah,
And-
no, I'm happy to be doing that.
Yeah, and we like, instead of directing you somewhere else, because one of the things we care a lot about is the music that we created ourselves, even though it hasn't propelled us into being millionaires.
Yeah, it hasn't been the way we make our living, that's for sure.
Yeah, but we have made some money and we're very proud of it, and you're
Yeah.
going to see that on
That's right.
on the platform.
So
Please check it out.
you should know that we're recording this about 3 days before Christmas, and we will be heading into the belly of the beast for New Year's Eve. We're playing right at the corner of Central Park and 59th Street, which is an all-day extravaganza.
It's more than an all-day extravaganza. Last
That's
year
right,
it was
we're
a
gonna meet the night
3-day.
before. That's right.
No, well, for me it was a 3-day extravaganza because they gave me a room. I stayed over and I left on the 3rd day.
Right.
But
yes.
this year we're going to cram it in.
That's right. That's right. It's always an adventure.
Always an adventure. The Loading Dock Diaries.
Yeah, but for me, it's also kind of great. I love New York City, and New York is insane on New Year's Eve. Manhattan is insane on New Year's Eve. They block off the streets. There's a million other people that come in just for that.
Well, I have a good story about that. A real quick story.
Good, tell. Doesn't even have to be quick.
I've done New Year's Eve at this venue, which is right near Central Park, many years in different fashion. Willa and I are doing a band together.
Right.
But many times I did just the cocktail lounge where I was doing piano bar, and there's a big window where you could see everybody being herded up Central Park South, all walking in one direction. There's police
Are
barricades.
they walking toward Times Square?
Well, yeah, and then they turn on 7th Avenue. So from 59th Street all the way down to 42nd.
Right.
There's just
A stream
hordes,
of humanity.
a stream, and it starts at like 12 o'clock. That's why they
Wow.
stop. That's why they close the streets.
I know.
If the people start showing up sooner, then they'll probably close it sooner. Well,
Right.
hopefully they won't, but they might because it'll be probably warm.
Right.
And then you just see them, I start at like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and you just see them. And when I used to do this years ago, because I've been there for many years, you would see people getting very excited at 10 to 12.
Right.
Like anywhere that you are.
That's right.
Now, for the last, say, 10 years or so, you see everybody standing like the Statue of Liberty with the arm up
Oh, with their cell phone.
with their cell phone. I
Right.
mean, it's amazing. Everyone is just
Right.
quiet. And 5, 10, 9, 8, and everyone's filming the ball, which is like
Right.
20 blocks away.
Wow.
And then that happens, and everyone, eventually,
They check their phones
kisses
to make sure it happens.
or whatever, or then they finally, once they've caught it,
Yeah.
and then after watching them all walking in one direction, turning on down 7th Avenue, then everybody starts walking the other way, like at 5 after 12.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
it's just insane.
Yeah, I know. And from where we are up there, it's great to sort of have that vantage point and watch it from a remove. We're safe up there in the ballroom.
Oh, sure. And the other funny thing, and this is all about cell phones, because that's about cell phones. The other thing was when I used to do Top of the Sixes with a band, and you had a great view out the window of the fireworks.
Right.
So, I would always have to count it down, 10, 9, 8.
Right.
And then before anyone had a cell phone, it
Right.
didn't matter how exact you were.
But now you have to be.
Well, now, you could look at it on your phone. But before that, I had the cell phone. It kind of did matter in that gig because I'm counting down 10, 9, fireworks,
Right.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I was like
Right.
8 seconds late,
Yeah.
and there was no hiding it.
Yeah.
The fireworks,
Brother. It's just amazing how the whole cell phone thing, it's like people,
It's changed the way we live.
it's changed the way we experience things because we don't experience them firsthand. We have to document them as we're experiencing
And the funny
them.
thing is, most of the time, you never look at it again. You
I
just
know.
want to know that you have it.
It's so true. It's so true.
You know how many screenshots I take a day? Like I'm trying to learn a software, or I
yeah.
want to remember
Yeah.
like this website. I mean,
Yeah.
90% of my photos are screenshots of something.
Oh
I
my
looked
God. A
at.
friend of mine, well, I'm not going to say it. But anyway, guys, all this is to say I have one more gig tomorrow night at an Irish bar, which is going to be nuts.
I have 2 more gigs,
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
Wow,
Christmas
you're
songs.
so you're playing Christmas Eve.
I am playing Christmas Eve.
Wow. All the way up to the bitter end, Marla Joe. You go, girl.
I'm even playing New Year's Day, and I don't want to, but
my
I have
God.
to because it's just the restaurant. They happen to be open, and nobody's
So January
gonna...
1st is not going to be your favorite day of the year this year.
Well, it will be after 9 o'clock. It still will.
Yeah.
It still will, because
Yeah.
then when we go to Florida.
Oh, there you go. Anyway,
Florida.
yeah, so then we have the big New Year's Eve nightmare / extravaganza.
I was just going to ask you where you're going to be. I forgot you're with me.
Yes, I'm going to be with you and other musicians that we really love, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, we have like good friends in the band. We're going to have a great time. We're going to do some Fleetwood Mac for the maitre d',
Yeah, and gimme, gimme, gimme.
singing the chain.
And by the time you hear this, audience, it will all have been over, and you'll be on to dreary January.
I have my 2024 neon glasses.
Oh, good
Somebody
for you.
gave me already.
Great. All right. And so we want to say, we hope your holidays were great.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho from the Ho, Ho, Ho's. And may your GPS never falter.
That's right. And have a happy whatever.
Well,
Festivus for the rest of us.
Right. That's right. That's right. Okay. And until next time, we are the Gig Hoes.
The Gig Hoes podcast is produced and recorded by Marla Joe and Willa Basson, also known as The Gig Hoes. Thanks to Doodle for opening voiceover.